Good morning, true crime friends. How y'all doing? Y'all are not gonna believe the story of Erin Patterson. Honey, put on your seatbelt. But first, you know what you need to do. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. That helps other people find us. Also, share these videos. Let's get to 20,000 subscribers together. Also, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. So look. Have you heard about this Erin Patterson, the lady with the death cap mushrooms down in Australia? Years ago, I read an article in a magazine that was about the unified theory of muppetry. And this theory dictates that there are two kinds of people in the world, chaos muppets and order muppets. Erin, honey, hardcore chaos muppet. And she's a chaos muppet from way, way back. Okay, so look. Erin, a 50-year-old housewife, has 2 kids, has a husband. She's living down there in Australia in a nice house. Everything is going good. She comes from a nice family. Her husband comes from a nice family. I was like, oh, this is delightful. Whatever could this lovely little housewife do? And turns out she did a whole lot of things bad. If you want to know her history, back even before she was married, she was a chaos muppet. Back when she was like 30, she got arrested. And I was like, oh, arrested you? Say 30 is a little old to be like partying up like a college girl or something. Apparently, she was arrested for driving an unregistered car under the influence and getting in an accident. Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to pull your whole life together. But I was like, okay, but she got married, so everything was okay, right? You'd be wrong if you thought that. This marriage was kind of rocky pretty much from the beginning. Erin had a little bit of a ticklish brain. See, also, she a chaos muppet. Anyway, when her and her husband got married, even when the kids were little, like newborn, she would be like, everything is fine. And then she would just be like, I'm going home. And she would disappear. They would be on vacation. They could be out anywhere. And she would just leave and go on home or go off and do her own thing. Leaving her husband and her child. Now, listen, you can imagine you want to leave your husband. That's your business. But you leave your baby too. Girl. Okay, I don't. But then she'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I've calmed down. Let's get back together. And I was like, okay, she was having like the baby blues, postpartum depression, something like that. Okay, that's understandable. Only she kept doing it even after the kids got a little bit bigger. And then her granny died and left her like $2 million. Well, that's probably when $2 million was a lot of money. Honey, I bought a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts the other day, $30. So $2 million probably buy you like 2 dozen Krispy Kremes or something like that. But don't mind me. This is what we know about money. Money magnifies. If you're a good person, it can help you be a much better person. If you're a terrible person, it gives you all the money you need to be terrible. It's not good. So Erin gets her money. Her crazy is like extra activated. And she's just like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Husband, Simon, I'm kind of sick of you. So you go over and live on your own house and I'm going to live in my house and I'm going to keep the kids and everything's going to be good. And he loves her a real lot, despite the fact that she got a real ticklish brain. And he's just like, okay, baby, that's going to be fine. And when her husband's siblings needed money. Oh, she just tricking up money, loaning them money. So I'm like, oh, she wasn't all bad. She loaned his siblings enough money for each of them to buy their own houses. Oh, that's so nice. She was generous. She was kind. She was crazy. Anyway, but her and Simon were like, they were getting along good. They weren't getting along good. They were getting along good. They weren't getting along good. But they had their own houses. So Simon was like, okay, everything is cool. Well, during one of the times that they lived together, Simon, he took all his stuff to her house, like you do. His papers, his socks, his assorted accoutrement necessary for living. Well, Erin was being nosy one day in 2022, and she was letting her fingers do the walking through all of his papers and stuff. And she's like, ooh, I spy with my little eye an old tax return. Why she was looking at old tax returns, child, I will never know. And she was like, what? She found something that was shocking to her. Turns out that her husband, Simon, had filed. Now, they had been separated for years. Everybody knew they were separated. It was no big deal. But when he filed his taxes, he listed on his tax return that he was separated. Oh, honesty bothers her? Okay. So she called him up. Boop, 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 boop. Hello, Simon. I see it says here on your tax return, you listed yourself as separated. And he's like, wait, what? I am at work. Why are you calling me with this? And she was just like, I didn't know you were getting the government involved in our marital discord. And he was like, he was like, okay. Let me explain. The accountant prepared my income taxes, and I mentioned in passing that we didn't live together. He, checked off that we were separated. I didn't tell him to do that. It was an accident. And she was just like, this cannot stand. And she was furious. And he was like, okay. Her crazy has kicked in again. I'm going to give it a couple weeks. The crazy going to die down and everything is going to be fine. And so Erin got mad and she stayed mad, like big, big mad. And she's like, well, if you're going to involve the government, then I want child support. And he was like, okay. I mean, I've been supporting my kids all this time, especially when you would run off in your crazy fits. But fine, if you want child support, I will pay you child support. When in the history of ever has a separated partner been like, child support sounds like a good idea. Here, let me give you some money. But that's what Simon did because he seems kind of like an order muppet. Anyway, so she's getting the child support, only she's still mad. And she's like, well, you need to pay the school fees and you need to do this and you need to do that. And he's like, heifer, that is what the child support is for. Now, what I'm not going to do is pay you the child support because you're mad and then still pay for all these other things. We have to find some way to work this out. She stayed big mad. And so she was like, okay. Let me calm down. Let's sit down and have a conversation. And so he came over. They sat. They had a lovely meal. They had a reasonable conversation. And then shortly after that, Simon got sick. Real sick. And he was like, oh, I feel like I might slip the surly bonds of this earth. And she was just like, oh, no, this is terrible. He was so sick. He was in the ICU for months and months. Erin, of course, swoops in and she nurses him back to health. Now she says she did it grudgingly, but I get the feeling she was really, really enjoying nursing him. But he was lingering on the edge of death. And then finally he gets better and he's like, I need to move out the crazy lady's house because who knows what she's doing. This might be a whole misery situation and I am not here for it. So they go back to their regular lives. Only now Simon is keeping his distance because he knows she's a little bit crazy, right? He kind of knew that all along, but she must have been, putting down some business in that bedroom or something. But he said she was smart, she was witty, she was all the lovely things. So he liked her when she was not being a crazy person. And so comes along, 2023 comes along. And Erin was like, I need to have a family conversation. And he's like, oh, Jesus, what now? And she was just like, I would like to invite you over for dinner. She's talking to Simon. And Simon was like, I'm busy. She's like, okay. How about a Sunday lunch? Let's do a nice Sunday lunch. I need to have a very, very important conversation. And I want to invite you and your parents. And he's like, oh, that's nice. And she's like, oh, and your aunt and uncle. And he's like, you've never, ever invited my aunt and uncle to your house the whole time you've lived there. But that sounds lovely. Well, the parents and the parents-in-laws, the aunt and uncle were like, this is quite lovely. I mean, she's never invited us over. She lives in that fancy house and she got all that money. I would love to visit her. This is going to be wonderful. And then Simon was like, it's going to be a no for me, dog. He declines, right? And she was just like, but Simon, I really, really want you to be here. I have a health issue that I need to discuss. I think I might have cancer and I'm trying to find a way to tell the kids, or should I tell the kids? Should I not tell the kids? We all need to sit and have this important family discussion so we can talk about like what news I share with the kids and when. And Simon was like, see, though, last time me and you hung out, I suspect in my mind that you might have tried to kill me or something. So can we just talk on the phone? And she was just like, I have spent a lot of time and money preparing a beautiful lunch, and I really wish you would come. He is like, okay, girl, but maybe we could just talk about it on the phone. She begs him to come, and smart Simon was like, I feel in my spirit like this heifer dangerous, and no. And she was thinking, well, I can't kill you over the phone. That's so much harder, but that's okay. I prepared a beautiful beef Wellington and everything's going to be fine. So her in-laws and her mother-in-law's sister and the mother-in-law's sister's husband, the auntie and uncle, come over. This is what you need to know. The mother-in-laws, the auntie and the uncle, the auntie was like, regular auntie. The uncle was a minister down to the local Baptist church. Okay, cool. Now, Erin used to be an atheist and she's like, I don't mess with that, right? But then she went to the uncle's church one time and she's like, I am moved. Oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. I really, really like the uncle. And the uncle was probably thinking, oh, she really likes me. She was moved by my sermon. This is going to be good. Maybe this is the beginning of a beautiful, beautiful family reunion. He was wrong. wrong. But anyway, so she invites them over and she's like, oh, she's the hostess with the mostest. And reportedly, she made a delicious lunch. You know, I wanted to know what she served. She served beef Wellington with mushrooms on top and mashed potatoes and green beans. And I was thinking to myself, like regular green beans or haricots verts. Ooh, the way I love a haricot vert. Anyway, that's like them fancy French green beans, the real young, tender ones. You get them down to the Trader Joe's. Oh, delicious. Anyway, according to the auntie, the food was real, real good. They sat, they had a nice conversation. Erin was like, I have ovarian cancer and I don't know when to tell the kids. And Simon, clearly he's not here to have this conversation. It's a very, very deeply important conversation. Thank you so much for coming. Goodbye. And so they have a lovely lunch and everybody goes about their way. The next day, everybody's sick. Everybody is sick. Well, not Erin because she's evil, but everybody is sick. And so Simon's parents are like, we think this might be food poisoning. The food was delicious, but clearly that heifer, I thought she was a good cook. She's not really a good cook. So they call the ambulance and both the parents get in the ambulance and go to the hospital where they get treated. And everybody's like, oh, child, your liver's looking terrible. So they start getting treated for things to protect their liver and to help them. And then Simon was like, oh, mom and dad, this is awful. Let me call auntie and uncle and see how they're doing. So he calls the auntie and uncle and the uncle answers the phone. He's like, we real sick too. So Simon goes to their house, puts them in the car and drives them to the hospital so they can be treated. The eagle-eyed auntie was like, Simon, dear, I mean, you know, she's Australian. I don't have an Australian accent, but she was like, Simon, dear, I think we might have been poisoned, but I have questions. Yesterday when we had our food, she served a delicious beef Wellington. Of course, she said all this between, you know, puking in a bucket. But is Erin short of crockery? Because I noticed she served all of us on gray plates and she had an orange plate. And Simon was like, oh, yeah. She doesn't have that many plates. Who was doing a plate inventory at the house? Anyway, so the aunt was like, oh, this is terrible. Blah, she pukes more in the bucket, right? So then later, after they get to the hospital, she's like, I want to know why the heifer gave herself a different plate than she gave me. That auntie in the back of her mind was like, this heifer done poisoned me. I can't stand her. That beef Wellington was delicious, but no, clearly this is a bad situation. Down to the hospital's doing everything they can. And they're like, oh, this looks like it was poison. Probably death cap mushroom poisoning. This is a thing? People just out here poisoning each other with mushrooms? Okay, you got to be real careful with these mushrooms. Anyway, the two women, the two sisters, the mother-in-law and her sister, off to the Endless Heaven buffet immediately. I bet you know what section they staying out of? The beef Wellington section. They don't even want beef Wellington even in heaven. Anyway, so they slip the surly bonds of this earth. They down to the Endless Heaven buffet. Everybody's sad, like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. Erin is devastated, according to her. She's just like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe this has happened. Then the father-in-law off to the Endless Heaven buffet as well. And Erin is like, oh my goodness, wow, I am devastated. This is terrible. I can't. Oh, child, she was in a full ugly cry on the TV. And of course, now all the cameras are on her, like, you invited your in-laws and then you allegedly poisoned them heifer. And so she was like, I don't know. I love them so much. How could this have happened? Then, so the two sisters, the father-in-law dies. And then the preacher was like, look, you know, the prayer warriors turned out and they was praying and fasting and doing whatever they needed to do. He pulls through. Now, is he in the hospital for months? Yeah. Does he need a liver transplant? He had to get a whole new liver, but he survived. Yay him. Only now he got to face this heifer. I was like, this is terrible. And everybody kept saying, you know, Erin mentioned that there was 2 different colors of plates. I think that's suspicious. Erin is like, oh, this looks real bad. Everybody at this lunch is no longer on this mortal coil but me. Oh, clearly I have to say I'm sick too. So she goes a couple days later. Now listen, everybody else got sick within 24 hours. A couple days later, Erin calls up Simon. Simon, I think I need you to drive me to the hospital too. Can you come and rescue me? He's like, yes, because if there was some food poisoning or something happening, I want to make sure you get to the hospital. But can I just meet you there? She's like, I have gastric symptoms and I might mess my pants on the way to the hospital. I'm nervous and I wouldn't want to be messy. So can you drive me? And he's like, why, of course, dear. I'm here to be your hero. And she's like, oh, this is what I wanted all along. So he drives her to the hospital and he's sitting there watching her like, She don't seem to be going to the bathroom like at all. She just sitting here looking perfectly normal. Her heart rate is elevated, but I would be too if I was in the hospital, you know. But her blood pressure, everything is fine. And they're like, listen, we're giving you medication to protect your liver. We want to make sure everything's okay. Who else had the food? And she's like, well, my kids had some of the food too, but I scraped the mushrooms off. And the hospital was like, wait, what? We need to check you some more. You need to spend the night in the hospital. We want to check your kids too. She's like, my kids? You want to check my? No. The kids didn't eat it. The kids gonna be fine. And the doctors was like, girl, but there was poison in the mushrooms. You don't want your kids to come here to the hospital? She was like, no, you cannot check my children. Erin, girl, now the internet said you was a true crime fan. You off your true crime game real bad if this is how you roll, this is how you play in this. But I was like, okay, Heifer, you a chaos muppet, so who knows what you gonna do. She refused to let her children get checked, and then she left the hospital. And I was like, what? The doctor was so worried. He was like, hello, police. Can you go check on this lady? Because clearly she's out of her mind or whatever. We don't know why she left the hospital. We told her she could die. And she's like, okay, but no, thank you. And so the police go and do a welfare check. And they're just down there fine. They're like, girl, while we here, we got a couple questions for you. Listen. I'm sure the beef Wellington was delicious. Where'd you get the mushrooms from, though? Because the hospital says this looks like classic death cap mushroom poisoning. And Erin was like, oh no, death cap mushrooms, you say? Well, I got some of them from like a local store, and then some of them from, I got fresh mushrooms from the local store, and then dehydrated mushrooms from the Chinese market. Ma'am. No, what you're not going to do is throw our Asian brothers and sisters under the bus. Leave it to this crazy lady. She's like, what all-purpose minority is here in the local neighborhood that I could blame? No, ma'am. No. So I think she's super racist, in addition to being a murderer. Anyway, please hold. She's like, I went to a Chinese market and I bought dehydrated mushrooms with a handwritten label. I threw away the packaging. I threw away everything. I don't know. But her friends were like, she's an experienced mushroom forager. How would she end up? What is happening? And Erin was just like, the heat is really getting turned up on me. I mean, I didn't know these people was going to die. I thought we were just going to have a nice lunch and talk about my cancer. This is real bad. So now everybody is looking real hard at Erin. And her husband, Simon, goes to the cops and he was like, listen, when I drove Erin to the hospital, we had a little conversation. I brought the kids to see her, and we were sitting there having a nice family reunion. She seemed perfectly fine. I suspect she might have faked her illness. And the police were like, say more. And so Simon is like, yeah, she said that she had been dehydrating mushrooms for a while. And her daughter had said, oh, I'm so glad I don't like mushrooms. I could have gotten sick too. And then Erin makes a very strange confession. She says, yeah, well, you think you don't like mushrooms, but you know my dehydrator? I've been dehydrating mushrooms and slipping them in muffins and other foods. And you ate those muffins and you were fine. So you only think you don't like mushrooms. I think you actually do like mushrooms. Ma'am, did you confess to trying out this poison on your children? Is that just a lie that you made up? Unclear. Ultimately, Erin is charged with 3 counts of unfortunate unaliving for the in-laws who passed, 1 count of attempted unfortunate unaliving for the in-law who stayed alive, and then 3 additional counts of assault and attempted unaliving in the alleged poisoning of her husband, Simon. Remember that time that she made him lunch and he was in the hospital for 2 months and she says she grudgingly nursed him back to health? Girl, you was living your best life nursing him back to health. Anyway, so she got all these charges and she's up there. Oh, she crying real ugly. She an ugly person anyway. But she's just like, I can't believe this. Oh my goodness. Oh me, oh my, it's so terrible. And so the police were like, we got these nice bracelets for you. I know you saying it's an accident. We really do not believe you. And so she was just like, oh, I don't, So down in court. Now listen. The court case is happening right now, today, as we speak. I'm dying to hear how it turns out, but this is going to be a 6-week trial, and they do not allow cameras in the courtroom down there in Australia. So I'm just going to have to update you here on the internet when I find out information. So down in court, The Crown prosecutor, that's like the state. The Crown is like, so she did several internet searches. Apparently, she is an experienced forager. And she was like, let my Google fingers do the walking. She searched for death cap mushrooms because what other foragers do, they go out there like, oh, danger, danger. Don't go to this location because there are death cap mushrooms. And Erin was like, death caps, you say? Let me just get right over there as fast as humanly possible. Girl, you're not even smart enough to wipe your browser history. You are a bad true crime fan, girl. Anyway, so she reportedly searched for where she could find death cap mushrooms. And then, according to her phone pings, went to those locations. Ma'am, you have not been watching trial. You don't know about Cellbrite. You don't know about downloading your phones. I mean, they could download all the information about your phone. A mess. A mess. So the defense gets up and it's like, Crown, people of Australia, my client pleads, oops, she did not know. Now, did she fake cancer? Yes. Turns out she really didn't have cancer. And I was like, wait. She didn't even have cancer. Defense, do you realize that we all suspect her in the first place? We all have seen this in the news. They have 12 random citizens over here about to judge her. You know they all watched it. And they all like, well, I'm going to get on the jury. I'm going to act like I don't know nothing. But clearly this heifer going down. She going to jail forever, ever. And the defense attorney was like, I mean, she loved these people. It was a terrible accident. She was nice to everybody when she wasn't poisoning them. And she pleads, oops. The Crown gets up and is like, you know, they have to have two phones though, right? One phone she threw away before the police could get it. The other one she remotely factory reset. Crown, y'all know about Faraday bags? It's a special cloth. Child, you can buy it on Etsy. You know I looked it up. Not that I'm about to commit no crimes, but I'm just saying. You can get the fabric on the Etsy and make your own Faraday bag. And then you just, when you collect a phone from a crime scene, you put it in the Faraday bag and then you zip it up and then nobody can wipe it remotely. Erin is down there in the docks. Now listen, if you don't know about international courts, this is how they do it. In the United States, they have like the defense and the prosecution, and the defendant can sit there with their lawyers on the defense side, and the prosecutors sit on the other side, and then the judge is in the middle. In Australia, they have you basically locked in a nice box called the dock. So she's at the back of the courtroom sitting in the dock, a cage. And her lawyers are up in the front fighting for her. And Erin is just sitting there looking big and stupid. She knows she's going to jail. I know she's going to jail. Was this Munchausen syndrome by proxy? I have so many questions. Queen Chaos Muppet, Erin Patterson, remains on trial today. When we have a verdict or more information in this case, you know I'm going to be here. You know I'm going to let you know because I am here for all the gossip, all the tea, and I'm going to bring it to you. Listen, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video. Let's get to 20,000 subscribers together. I will see you soon. Bye.